How's it going, everybody? This is Alex Caceres, and you're listening to Story of the Fight.
What is up, Will?
What up, what up?
How you doing, man?
Doing well, dude. The New Year's rolling along.
Yeah, dude, it's right around the corner. Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, last week we were talking about Christmas, right? Hey, shout out Toasty for filling in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
Man, coming through clutch. But your boy's back. I'm excited to be here again. For anybody that is first joining us, my name is Romero. That's my boy, Will. And this is Story of the Fight, where we like talking all things mixed martial arts. And hey, there's going to be a few things we're going to be covering today, Will. One, we're giving out the coveted, the sought-after Story of the Fight yearly awards, dude. We're going to be handing these out. And when I say handing them out, it's virtually. We don't actually have anything that we're going to hand out to fighters. Will they even know? I don't know. But we're issuing these awards either way. We're also going to recap our picks from last year, because every year we go through and we predict who will be, who's going to be champion by the end of the year. Whoever wins between you and I holds on to that SOF belt, right? And then we also have a mini belt. For a little heavy. The hardware. But we also have a mini belt that we'll be sending out to whichever listeners submitted their picks. They had the most picks right as well, right?
Correct.
But before we do, if this is your first time joining us, please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. It goes a long way. You can find us pretty much anywhere podcasts are found, which would be where, Will?
Yeah, if you go to storyofthefight.com, it'll list all of them. You know, we're everywhere. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, obviously YouTube, Breaker, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Twitch, Reddit, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, like everywhere. Story of the Fight makes it real easy. Story of the Fight everywhere. Go to storyofthefight.com. It'll also have a link there for our merch store. If you want one of these Pride shirts or the Pride beanie, we have Street Fighter merch as well. Go there.
Check it out. All right. So it's that time, right? I feel like we should have had sound effects going in, like crowds cheering or something in the background. And oh, yes. The crowd wants it. The crowd is chanting. I don't even know what they're chanting. But it's time to hand out the awards, Will. It's always fun this time of year.
Yeah, it's fun because you recap and you're like, oh, I forgot that was this year. That's crazy. And get to
in
highlight
some
some
cases,
cool stuff.
You forget that a fight didn't even happen this year. Like me, I think I handed out fight of the year for something that happened in 2021, I think, actually. I don't know.
I think the year before I gave submission of the year to a one that happened the year prior. I was like, all right.
It's tough, man. Hey, it's an entire 12 months. So many things go down and everything just gets kind of jumbled up. If only I would use the line, right, on the line and to make sure that my information was correct. But hey, a couple categories we're going to be covering today. Rookie of the year, event of the year, biggest sub of the year, best sub of the year, biggest KO of the year, best KO of the year, female fight of the year, male fight of the year. And I think that's it, right? Well, the fighters of the year and the national fight. Yeah. So you'll notice we did something a little different between the best KO and biggest KO. You want to explain the differences there?
Yeah, real quick. Shout out Regen. Happy New Year's.
Happy New Year's, Regen.
Will Regen take the mini belt? I
don't
know.
Who knows?
Find out.
I'm excited. I really don't know any of the sports.
I don't know either. But so like you said, we have biggest and best. And a lot of times I was watching some of the other MMA awards. Everybody does one, right? And a lot of the times, shout out Keith. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Keith.
Will Keith win the mini belt? I don't know. But everybody always is like, knockout of the year. It usually either goes to the coolest knockout, coolest technique, it's like, oh, this is crazy. And then the other people will say, I like this knockout because of the stakes involved. It was a title fight. It meant there's all this backstory, so it culminated into this knockout. But it's the knockout was just
the emotional response.
Yeah. Or it's oh, this was crazy submission because of it's at the highest level and there's so much going on. And then, but it's just a rear naked choke. And then it's but there's other people who are doing flying gogoplatas and shit. And you're that's submission of the year, but nobody knows who they were. So nobody gives it to them. So we're
Yeah.
gonna do both. We'll have best tech. We'll do best knockout, best submission, which is more about the technique, and then there's biggest, which is like, it's higher profile. There was more stakes. It's for a belt. It's at the main event, stuff like that. So we'll have both.
So I'll be handling the biggest, and you'll
Mhm.
be handling the best, right?
Yeah.
And look, we all know I could be a bit of an emotional guy. You know what I mean? So this is right down my alley to be
Yeah.
able
Yeah.
to give out the award that
And I am
seriously, like as I was
cold.
going through, you have no emotion.
Yeah.
So funny.
If it's basic, I hate it now.
Yeah. Hey, Regents, by the way, saying I only remember one correct pick, Pantoja. See, this is the cool thing
But did he
for all the
pick
listeners,
Pantoja?
for all
I
the
don't know.
listeners that submitted. Like they don't remember a lot of their picks either, right? So this is like a recap for them also to go through and see like, hey,
Yeah.
how many did I actually get right? I feel like I'm gonna be pretty embarrassed at the end of this, but you know what?
Mine, I
We're here
went
for it.
back. I went back to do some tallying, and I wasn't keeping score, but I was just like, I need to notate it all to make the slideshow. And some of the stuff that I heard come out of my mouth, I was like, this guy is an idiot. What is he talking about? I'm
Well,
trying to make
hey,
like big brain predictions, and it's just like after the fact, the year's over, and like none of that even happened.
I think you and I were talking on the phone, and we just referenced Laura Sanko's saying where she said this sport will make fools of us all, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So I think at the
perfect.
end of this, we're gonna feel like fools. You know what I mean? But it's all good. We're
Yeah.
here for it.
Mhm.
We don't take ourselves too seriously. We're gonna probably get some right. We're gonna probably get a lot wrong, but
Hell
it's
yeah.
okay. We're having fun. We're having fun. All right. So shall we get started?
Let's do it.
All right. First year that we're gonna be first award, sorry, that we're gonna be handing out is gonna be Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the
Rookie of
year.
the
Yeah,
Year.
let's
Okay.
start with rookie of the year.
All right.
Keith says, I don't remember my picks, but I think a lot of them are not champs anymore.
Oh man.
Classic.
I think Keith picked Matt Sarah for one of them. So we'll see if he. All right. Do you want to go first?
Yeah, let's do it. Rookie of the year. This fighter debuted this year in May and has already had 3 fights. Most fighters barely scratch 3 fights in the whole year. This guy did it in half the year. He also started with a loss, but it was a short notice loss.
Oh, we
And
picked the same guy.
it was a short notice loss, and but he looked really good in the loss. And since then, he's on a 2-fight finish streak with a triangle armbar in the first round over Gavin Tucker and a first round knockout over Pat Sabatini. The debut was against Evloev,
Evloev.
and it
Can we
is
say the name at the same time then?
yeah. Let's do it.
1, 2, 3.
Diego.
Diego Lopez.
Yeah, come
Absolutely,
on,
dude. Yeah,
so
yeah.
good. What a year, man! Because like he steps in and everybody's clowning on him for the chest tattoo and the haircut, and it's like, but
Rightfully
don't be
so.
fooled. But don't be fooled. Rightfully so. But don't be fooled
Rightfully
because
so.
he goes out there on what 2 weeks notice or 3 weeks notice, something like that, against Evloev, a murderer, and he gives him a run for his money, ultimately losing, but had him like almost finished a couple times. And then everyone's like, "Oh, this guy's actually Alexa Grasso's jiu-jitsu coach," which maybe came into play this year also. And then since then, he's just like on a tear. He's got a submission win and then a knockout, and everybody wants to see more of him. By far, in my opinion, the bet. Some people are like, "Oh, Bo Nickel, the rookie of the year." And it's like, what did Bo Nickel do?
And I knew it because taking a look, like I was looking through my options, right, and I saw Bo Nickel. I'm like, look, he's coming in with a lot of hype, right?
Mhm.
He's won his first 2 fights in the UFC. First one through submission, which we all expected, right, with the wrestling.
Yeah,
But then the second one with his hands. He let those
yeah,
hands go, and
but
but
but the
yeah,
first one, he was struggling to get the takedown until he kneed Pickett in the nuts, and then while he was complaining to the ref, he got the takedown. So there's a little bit of a caveat there. The second one was against a like 2 days noticed landscaper in Val Woodburn. So he made his UFC debut on 2 days
he does
notice.
landscaping
Yeah, he's a landscaper. And I mean that with no disrespect to Val Woodburn, but if you
or to
compare Bo
landscapers.
Nickel or to landscapers, right? But if you compare Bo Nickel to Diego Lopez, Diego fought Evloev, Gavin Tucker, and Sabatini. Bo Nickel kneed Pickett in the nuts and fought a guy who was working in someone's yard the day prior. You know what I mean? Like, it's just not comparable. It's just not.
Yeah, no, I got you. And look, to your point, right? We see a lot of these guys that get called up last minute for their
Mhm.
debut against these absolute killers because there's not too many people that say, "Yeah, I'll take this
Yeah.
fight on short notice against Evloev." You
Yeah.
know, anybody that's already in the UFC, they're like, "Why risk it?" Like
Mhm.
I'm gonna go up against an absolute killer with no training camp. Nah. So you have somebody like a Diego Lopez. He's an opportunity. They step in, and you'll see him just get murked real quick. And they're
Yeah.
like, hey, at least they got a 2
Daryl
or 3 fight
Horcher.
contract out of it.
Mhm.
But with this one, it felt different. After the end of the fight, we're like, man, we got something in
Yeah, he
Diego
was in
Lopez. Like, there's something here, dude.
And then you're like, is it a Lando Venata situation where he showed out in his short notice debut against Tony Ferguson, but we don't really know like if he's gonna continue. Everyone was like, dude, he's gonna put him in the top 5. This guy's incredible. And then he struggled a lot after that. Still fun fights, always fun fights with Lando, but he never really got over that hump. Whereas now Diego Lopez, I was cautious. I was like, yeah, he looked really good, but Evloev maybe didn't take him seriously, didn't know who he was, all this stuff. So let's see what he does from here. And then he's got 2 first-round finishes over names. So it's like, no, he is legit. He's very
He's
fun to watch.
legit. And I think the thing that we also have to remember is that going into the UFC, he was 21-5.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
he was a rookie in the
Mhm.
UFC, but dude's
But
been
he's been
fighting
doing
for
it.
a minute,
Yeah.
and he definitely, you could definitely see it when he's in the octagon, just how comfortable he feels in there,
Mhm.
both off his back, on the ground, and striking as well. He's just an exciting fighter, man.
Yeah. Very fun. And I like the
Looking,
hair. It brings me back to middle school.
I am looking forward to this next year with Diego Lopez, man. Yeah, his hair just reminds me. What's that one song that's been going around social media for all the
I don't
emo
know.
kids? It's like,
Oh, I
"Cause
don't know.
tonight will be the
Oh,
night."
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
dude, that's all I can
100%,
think
dude.
when it's
It
that hair.
Yeah. He looks like Tom DeLonge, dude. He, like, looks like him too physically. The singer from Blink-182.
Awesome, dude. So awesome. All right,
Regen
man.
says, "Read my palms, please." He said, "Anyone who had Strickland as their pick for the end of the year needs to become a damn psychic."
For real. For
Keith
real.
said, "I thought Triple C would have beat Aljo, so didn't really expect O'Malley and Strickland, to be honest." Well, we'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out. But Rookie of the Year,
Yep.
Diego Lopez, very fun. We'll
Very
move
fun.
on.
All right. We ready to move on to the next award?
We are.
So this award, okay, I guess you could say it's kind of handed out to who would it be? The matchmakers?
I guess the matchmakers, yeah, putting the cards together.
Yeah, because this is event of the year for 2023. So you want me to take this one? Take the lead on this one, or do you want to go first?
I have 2 honorable mentions and then my pick. I don't know how you want to structure this. We want to say our picks and then give some honorable mentions.
Yeah, let's go picks and honorable mentions.
Okay, I'll go with my pick then. My
Go.
pick is UFC 295, and you might be saying recency bias. It just happened. When was this? This was November. But Alex Pereira versus Yuri Prohaska, it was
Good.
fucking it. It maybe ended unceremoniously a little bit, but it was still a fun fight while it lasted. We got to see more of Alex's ground game. We got to see Yuri back in there coming off a long layoff, and he still looked pretty damn good. So it's
Yep.
exciting for the future of the
I was
division.
so
The
worried about
lead
that
up,
going in too
dude,
with
shoulder
Yidri. The
surgeries can be
shoulder?
real bad. hmm
Yeah.
But the lead up was incredible. The walkouts were incredible. The stare down is a
Oh,
top 5 UFC stare down of all time.
possibly the
Um,
best. Who knows?
yeah, it was really good, really, really good. Just two. This is a Mortal Kombat fight headlining, so it was very cool to see that for a vacant belt, uh, a middleweight champ taking on a former light heavyweight champ. The Yidri had that fight of the year against Glover Teixeira, who's the coach of Alex Pereira. So it was like it was very cool. And then it was supposed to be John Jones versus Stipe, which would have been big. But then we ended up with Tom Aspinall versus Sergey Pavlovich, which, in my
Mhm.
opinion, might be the 2 best heavyweights going at it. It's a better fight stylistically. They're both in their prime. So that as a replacement fight, pretty fucking awesome. And Aspinall starches him, the guy who's murdering everybody. And then we had Jessica Andrade versus Mackenzie Dern, where she just beat the brakes off her. And we're like, get back to Jason Perillo.
Yeah,
We had
yeah, yeah.
Benoit Saint Denis with his cool sweeps over Matt
Killer.
Favola and then the high kick
Killer.
knockout. We had Diego
Yeah, boy.
Lopez, Rookie of the Year, getting his first round knockout over Pat Sabatini. That was just the pay per view. Before that, we had Usyk versus Costa in a fun fight. Usyk is someone to watch out for. Lupita Godinez went to war with Tabitha Ricci. Sadikov versus Slaviklaus was fucking awesome. It ended up in a draw because there was a 10-8 round in there. Jared Gordon got a knockout in New York over Marco Madsen. Very fun card. Yeah, Josh Van versus Borjas, which was very cool too, because Josh Van, I think, is someone to watch in the flyweight division. This was just a fun ass card from top to bottom. And the pay per view was all finishes. It's fucking awesome. What else
Yeah.
could you want in a pay per view? Could I buy it? No,
You
but
get your money's worth for sure
you get your money's
with
worth.
that event. It was a fun
And
event, absolutely.
Keith highlights, yeah, without all the trash talk too. There was no trash talk. The main event was like, these are two warriors. We're just see who's
Poatan
better.
and the
Yeah,
Samurai?
yeah. We're just see who's better. And then Pavlovich and Aspinall are like, they got their hands on their shoulders and the face off. Like, it was just very respectful, very cool event. Very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with Keith, by the way. He says Benoit Saint Denis is someone to watch, in my opinion.
Hell yeah. That dude's the god of war indeed.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. All right. For me, event of the year was UFC 290. Okay, this was back in
Ooh.
July 8th. So this was
Going back?
another really fun one for me. Now, let me break this one down for you real quick, right?
Yeah, which one was
So
this?
we have Volkanovski versus
Ooh.
Yair Rodriguez. Okay,
Yep.
very good fight. Yair coming in as the interim title holder. So this was to unify the belt. So there was a lot of excitement behind that one already. Now, was it competitive? Not so much, right? Volkanovski kind of beat the brakes off of Yair. It was still a fun fight, though.
Got some cool reads in there. Alex got some cool reads to get that left hook. That was fun.
Yes. And you know what? Give me 2 title fights in this one as well, because you have Alexandre Pantoja versus Brandon Moreno. Oh, so good also, right? Anytime that I see Brandon Moreno in a fight, I'm getting goosebumps right now just thinking about it. Do the walkouts, the anticipation,
Yeah, that
so
was
good,
good.
right? The rematch against Alexandre Pantoja, another really good fight. Anytime you have these guys fighting, Alexandre showed already that anytime he's in a fight, it's an exciting fight. But then
Must watch TV.
this is so stacked, dude. You had Dricus du Plessis take out Robert Whitaker. And at this time, you remember, before Pereira, everybody was saying the only person that could beat Izzy is Robert Whitaker, right? There was Izzy, and then there was Robert Whitaker, and then there was everybody else.
Volkanovski, Max Holloway, Cain Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos.
Everybody else. And so going
Jose
into
Aldo,
this,
Chad Mendes.
You know, a lot of people are thinking like Dricus du Plessis, like maybe a little too much right now, a little too much. And he puts on a master class against Robert Whitaker. So this was a shocker for me. You had Dan Hooker versus Jalen Turner.
Ooh, banger.
You remember the comeback from Dan Hooker on that one? Isn't that the one where he busted his arm too?
Yeah, he
in the
blocked
first
the high kick
round?
and he broke his forearm.
Oh my
He
God.
out-dogged him, dude.
You have your boy Bo Nickel. Okay, and this is where he actually knocks out Woodburn. So he shows, hey, I got some hands too. But then
shout out Woodburn being a landscaper with that last name. Very good.
Oh, yeah, that's good, dude. That's good. How about Robbie Lawler's retirement, though? Right? So you had that emotional moment in the card, too, the one that just hits you in the feels against Nico Price. By the way, Nico Price, a dog. Every time he fights, you know what I mean? So I love watching him.
Got to feed them 10 kids.
You see the continued ascension of Tetsudo Taira in this one as well. But, dude, okay, outside of that, 8 out of 12 fights, finishes in the entire card.
This is a good one, dude. This is a good pick.
I loved this card, man. You know, so this was my event of the year for 2023.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Shout out Sean Shelby. Shout out Mick Maynard.
That's a
shout out new dude.
I think this honorable mention for me was 285 Jones versus Gane, kind of unceremoniously the end of that card, but you had Grasso over Shevchenko, the first one where she submitted her. You had Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Jeff Neal in a fight of the year contender. Also Bo Nickel. You had Cody Garbrandt getting his win back. Du Plessis also, he finished Derek Brunson. This was a fun one. Ian Machado Gary versus Song Kanan, where he finished him. Cameron Simon versus Mana Martinez was very fun. So that was a pretty good card. And then I also got to give the shout out to One Fight Night 10, their first ever US event in Denver.
Of course.
Mighty Mouse versus Moraes 3, Rod Tang versus Tabares, Mikey Musumeci, Stamp Fairtex got the liver kick knockout. Katastam had the crazy war with Roberto Soldic for the
That's a
comeback
good
win.
call. Good call.
Sage Northcutt got the heel hook in his big comeback fight. Onglan Song got a finish. Tyra Tolo versus RDR was very fun. Jackie Bontan got the knockout over Deanna Marchin. Fun card.
No bare knuckle
good
in there
honorable mention.
in your honorable
Uh,
mentions?
No.
Not this year. Okay, not this year. Okay, got it.
Maybe
Got
next
it.
year,
Okay.
guys.
We gotta get one in there for Genevieve,
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
the bloodiest match of the year. All
Yeah.
right, man.
He says Drickus is going to shut down Strickland, I believe. I agree.
Ooh, maybe that's going to be Keith's pick for who's going to finish with the belt next year in that weight division. We'll see. All right. Next up, we're going to go with. Do we want to start off with biggest or best?
Let's go biggest. Biggest submission.
Biggest submission of the year. Look, this shouldn't be a big surprise for anybody, right? For me, biggest submission of the year was Alexa Grasso versus Shevchenko. It's a no-brainer if we're talking about the biggest. So going into this, Grasso was a heavy underdog, plus 575 going into this. So Shevchenko looked to be that one champion that was untouchable, that was going to be in that championship reign for so many years.
Maybe double champ.
Exactly. Like we continue talking about the fact, like, hey, well, there's nothing else for Nunes. Toss Shevchenko in there. I think Shevchenko's ready. And just somebody that nobody could figure out. And Will, you pointed out that spinning kick that Shevchenko has that nobody was able to capitalize on before, right? And while it was a, some would say basic rear naked choke. Mm-hmm. Okay, and I'm not saying that in any bad way, right? Because getting a rear naked choke at that level, no matter what, it's a fundamental. But the fact that Grasso and team were able to pick up on that spinning kick and attacked as soon as she threw it, because she had done that plenty of times before, almost like recklessly, just throwing it even if she was away. Yeah. And to be able to capitalize on it, be a plus 575 underdog, and come up with the win against the champion that everybody thought was going to be a champion until she retired was huge. So for me, that's why it wins the biggest submission of the year award, the story of the fight, biggest submission of the year award. Yeah. And I know that she's probably going to be tuning in saying like, this is the one I really wanted.
Finally, I got the award that I was waiting for.
Yeah, exactly. Congratulations, Alexa Grasso.
Yeah, very good. That's got to be the pick. It's the biggest.
Should we start photoshopping pictures of them with like holding an award?
Holding our little belt.
Yeah. That'd be hilarious.
Keith said Grasso was a shocker for me, and she's legit. Yeah, that was
100%. 100%.
And then she, they in the rematch they fought to a draw, and she proved it wasn't a fluke. She didn't just catch her with the submission. She's there. Yeah, very cool. So we can move on to best submission, which is more about the technique itself. Like you said, Grasso, it's a rear naked choke. We've seen a bunch of rear naked chokes, but with everything behind it, it makes it great. But the actual submission itself, rear naked choke. This year, we also had Damon Blackshear versus Jose Johnson, where in the middle of round one, Blackshear hits a twister, which is very rare. I think, there's only a handful, there's only like 3 or 4. So yeah, Twister is massive. That's an honorable mention though for me. Twister is very cool, and it's hard not to give it to that. But Davey Grant versus Rafael Assunção gets him in the 3rd round with an inverted triangle, and the way he set it up was so fucking cool. Obviously, Twister setup's cool, but the way he set it up, where he hurt him, and then he's on the ground trying to take him down, and he just kind of falls into place and locks it up perfectly. There's something special for me about inverted triangles. I think it's one of the coolest things because it's so hard to see coming, because it usually comes out of a scramble, and that's fucking awesome to me. Getting a submission in a scramble is so cool. So I got to give submission of the year to known submission artist Davey Grant with his inverted triangle over Rafael Assunção.
All right, man. That's a good pick. I like that one. All right.
Inverted triangle, man. Fucking awesome.
Next, we go Would it be biggest KO of the year?
Let's go biggest KO.
Biggest KO of the year. All right. This one, another one. Probably not going to be a massive surprise to anybody. Okay, but Adesanya versus Pereira 2. Okay.
Yeah, or 5
And
or whatever.
yeah, exactly. Second in
And
MMA.
MMA.
This is a huge deal to me because of the implication that came along with it. Sure, it was the title,
Mhm.
right? But you have this boogeyman that Israel Adesanya, which many regarded as the best middleweight at that point in time and one of the best middleweights that we've ever seen,
Yeah,
that can't shake this boogeyman, Pereira. Okay,
who
so
followed him to another sport and knocked him out.
yeah, so a defining moment for his career, altogether defining moment in his career, right?
You
So
shout out
2016.
K9 says twisters are super high level. Yes,
Oh,
they
I
are.
love it. Oh, shout out K9. Yeah. 2016, Pereira beats Adesanya in Glory of Heroes by decision. 2017, Pereira beats Adesanya in Glory of Heroes 7 by left hook KO. I think that's the one where Pereira's son like mocks him, right, and falls.
Yeah,
2022,
flatlined him.
in MMA, Pereira stops Adesanya through technical knockout in the 5th round. You have Adesanya that's up against the cage, gets caught, and we have Pereira Poatan, hands of stone, just landing massive shots, right? They have to
Gets
stop
the
it.
standing KO.
So it just seems like, hey, no matter what's going on, because Adesanya up to that point was winning the fight.
Yeah, he was.
He was winning the fight.
Right.
He had solid movement around the octagon. He was picking and choosing his
Picking
spots. He was in and out,
Mhm.
right? But he just got caught at the end. And so you're thinking, what's it going to take? Because he had gone 4.5 rounds of
Yeah.
fantastic MMA, beating Pereira, and Pereira lands a shot, wobbles him, and it's over.
Mhm.
So then here comes again their second fight in MMA, right? This in the back
Try to
of,
get the
I'm
belt
sure,
back.
in the back of Adesanya's head, like, dude,
Yeah.
what's it going to take to get this guy out? And then he lands that shot that like grazes him by his temple. You see him
Mhm.
wobble a little bit, lands that massive shot, knocks him
With his
out
back on the fence.
with his back on the fence. Yes, and then he does the arrow
Oh man.
shots
Yeah, it
to
was
Poatan.
beautiful,
Just
dude.
oh my god! So for me, that was a huge moment, the biggest knockout of the year, because it's almost like you just see the weight being lifted off of Adesanya's shoulders as he's doing the whole bow and
Yeah.
arrow thing.
I mean, it was
You just see,
cathartic.
oh my god, it was insane, and that's a
Yeah.
crazy picture too, right? One of the craziest pictures where you see.
Yeah, shout out Toasty.
Hey, what up, Toasty? You see Pereira laying on the floor, and they just
How
have a
cold.
perfect shot of Adesanya screaming in the background. Oh,
Yeah.
dude, it's such a good shot. But yeah, that's the biggest KO of the year for me.
That's got to be biggest KO. That it was
Right.
huge. So we'll move on to best knockout. And there are some fun ones this year. I think the overhand right from Josh Emmett over Bryce Mitchell just recently, where he killed him and
Yep,
gave him a
has to be.
seizure. That is very good. It's a very good knockout if you're Josh Emmett. The other honorable mention would be, in my opinion, Derek Lewis versus De Lima, because you rarely see heavyweights finish a fight with a flying knee,
Yep.
and especially Derek Lewis with a
Yep.
flying knee knockout that broke all his teeth. So that's terrifying. That's a good knockout. But for me, it's the Swedish Denzel over Shane Mitchell with his wheel kick knockout. And this
Ooh.
one, we're gonna go for it. We had PFL posted it on Twitter, so I think we can show it.
Oh,
So let's go ahead and show, in my opinion, the best knockout of the year. Which again, if you're joining late, a little different than biggest. So we can highlight technique and moments because the sport is built off both of them.
yes, absolutely.
So here we got Sadabusi versus Shane Mitchell in PFL. Let me make sure there's no audio because that will get us taken down. We'll go full screen.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. Oh, beautiful.
I mean, come on,
Lightning
dude.
quick. So good, man. Oh,
That's tough to
money.
beat, man.
It
Spinning wheel
is.
kick that clean. Whew.
I want to
God,
give
that's
a
good.
little honorable mention in this one, if you don't mind,
Let's do it.
with Bonfim versus Terrence McKinney.
Oh,
That was
Yeah,
a really
that's a
good
good
one
one.
too, right? Terrence McKinney up against
Yeah.
a cage, and he's like bouncing back a little bit. One Fiem comes in with the flying knee, and Terrence McKinney kind of tries to
Ooh.
duck out of the way of it, but instead he ducks right into a knee, flatlines him right away. And I thought that was another phenomenal KO,
Yeah.
right?
That's a good one. Same with honorable mention for biggest would also be Islam with the high kick over Volk. That's a big one
Oh,
too. Yeah. Very
absolutely,
big one.
absolutely. Submission of the year. I forgot my honorable mention was Dylan Dennis choking out a fan by the name of Ellie Brooke, who started convulsing actually. So just a reminder to everybody: do not ask fighters to choke you out playfully,
Yeah.
because it could lead to bad things, right? So shout out
Yeah.
Dylan Dennis. All
Toasty
right.
also says, "Is this MMA only? Because it's got to be Super Braun getting flatlined." Uh, yeah, we're kind of just doing MMA for these MMA awards. But yeah, was that the Alazov one? That was that this year? God, so many fights in a year. Seems
So
like it
many
was
fights,
last year, but
and
maybe
especially
not.
now that I started watching one as well, I'm like, oh, this is so much,
Yeah, Toasty says they can
so
ask
much.
me. I'll do it.
All
Classic.
right. Now we're moving on to fight of the year, right?
Yeah, fight of the year.
All
We'll
right.
do
So,
women's fight of the year.
all right. All right. I can go and get going on this one. And look, maybe recency bias on this one, but I went back and watched it again. Okay. And it's got to be Aldana versus Hosa.
Oh,
Aldana
interesting.
versus
Okay.
Hosa. So good, man. In the first round, you start off with Hosa with heavy leg kicks. And, it's frustrating because you hear the announcer say, hey, she has no answer for these leg kicks.
Mhm.
But she did. And her answer was like, let me just punch her in the face. Every time she throws
Yeah.
one of these leg kicks, I'm just going to throw a right cross, right? Or I'm going to land a solid jab. And there's a few times that Hosa would throw that leg kick, get punched with a solid jab, and you see her take a couple steps back because it was such a
Yeah.
stiff jab. But then that second round, Aldana lands a cross, and it brought the dog out of Hosa. And
Yeah,
you
dude.
see Hosa start trading too, so she starts mixing it up a lot more. Both of them are landing big shots. Aldana starts landing to the body, right, which brings Hosa's hands down, and then Aldana starts like feigning going to the body, but turns it into a shovel hook that
Oh, yeah,
starts. Oh
beautiful.
my god, it was such an awesome fight! And then as soon as there's about 20 seconds left, you see Hosa just give the nod to
Yeah.
Aldana. And Aldana receives the nod very well, and they just start throwing again the last 20 seconds. It was an insane fight.
That was a
A
good
lot
one.
of damage that fight, right? Both ladies just threw down nonstop. But that would be my female fight of the year.
That's a good pick. Yeah, it's for me, it was a toss-up between 2. That was gonna be an honorable mention for me. Um, but for me, the winner is one we talked about already. The submission of the year, Shevchenko versus Grasso won, was just
Mm.
fucking awesome, dude, because Grasso comes out and tags her in the first round, and you're like, "Oh, what do we got here? Is this gonna be competitive?" And she takes the first round. And then Shevchenko takes the second round and the third round, and you're like, "Oh, no." But it's still competitive, but it's like, clearly she's a leg ahead, and then she
Yeah, yeah.
catches her with that submission, and it's fucking crazy. So it was just, like, such a high-level fight that was eye-opening right at the beginning because I expected Shevchenko to beat Grasso, no problem. Um, and so the fact that we finally saw Shevchenko lose, and not only did she lose, but she got finished, and I was like, it was crazy. It was such an insane fight for such a big upset, and Grasso was so cool, and she choked her out, and the choke wasn't even under the neck; it was over the chin,
The
and it
chin,
was just
yeah.
pure chaos. When it's like, because you think she's fine here, it's over the chin, she's fine, and then she taps, and you're like, what the fuck? And she takes the arm off. Keith and Toasty are split on our picks, um, but she shakes the arm off, and her chin is like white, like she squeezed the hell out
Yeah.
of her face. It's just so big, and like I went back to tally up our predictions for the year, and um, I was like, I could see Shevchenko losing, but nobody's gonna beat her emphatically. It's gonna be like a weird point fighting fight where she slightly gets edged out. No one's ever gonna submit her. No one's gonna knock her out. And then here we are, her first title defense of the year. Grasso comes in and submits her. It's just craziness. Um, it just yeah, both awesome
And
fights. Both awesome fights.
it,
It's like, what do you want? Do
the
you want the stakes and the technique, or do you want the fucking banger raw? How far can the human will go? and that's
Yes.
Hossa versus Aldana, and it's like both of them showed
So
that
good.
the dichotomy
So
of the
good, man.
sport, you know.
And
Fucking awesome
you
fights.
see the agony of defeat as soon as she taps, because the way that Shevchenko tapped, I'll never forget. Because
Yeah,
she's like, tap, tap, and then she
yeah,
sits up pissed off after she lets go. The ref stops it. And you could just see like she was like, should I let my jaw break right now? Should I not?
yeah.
And oh, dude, it was just
And the same
insane. It
thing
was
with
a solid
Aldana
fight.
Hossa. You know, Aldana Hossa at the end of the fight. Aldana puts her hand up, and you can see Hossa in the background, a bloody mess, just standing there with her head down, dejected. And you're just fucking. Both fights
Oh, that's so
really
crazy.
showcase like everything
What
the
a
sport is
sport!
about.
What a
Yeah,
sport, dude.
it's
No other
crazy.
sport like it. It's
Just
insane.
bleed.
Just bleed gods. Absolutely
Yeah,
shining down on that one. All right. So now we're going on to the male fight of the year, right?
yeah.
So Will, I told you I'm an emotional guy. A lot of times I see these fights, and if they mean so much more, it's something that just sticks to me, right?
Mhm.
And it's something I remember for a long time. In some cases, I continue playing a fighter's walkout song over and over again for an extended period of time. So you probably know
Yeah.
which one I'm talking about now, right?
I don't. I still don't.
What? Max Holloway versus Korean Zombie.
That's your fight of the
This
year.
that's my fight of the year,
Man, that's a
dude.
good pick, man. I cried in the morning in bed watching that because it was
Dude,
the
it's
time zone.
so good, dude. It's so good.
Yeah,
So
that's
you
a
have
good
Max
pick.
Holloway, right? And I feel like at this point, every time Max Holloway fights, it's a question of how much longer will Max have it? Because he's been
Mhm.
doing it for so long. He started in the UFC in his early 20s. He's been fighting for what, 10 years in the
Yeah,
UFC
gotta
at the
be. Yeah.
highest level, one of the best featherweights to ever do it. Um, and after losing to
It's
Volkanovski
just
the first
funny as
couple
fuck.
times, he lost those first couple times, and both times I thought to myself, Holloway won those fights.
Toss-up fights for sure.
And
Super
then
close.
the last one against Volkanovski, you're like, holy shit, Volk is in an entire another level that I never thought was possible above Max Holloway. So now it's like, well, what does Max Holloway have left in the tank? Is he ever going to be able to be in title contention again?
Well, because you
And
wonder, is this Max losing a step, or is it Volk is just that
yes,
great? And you're like, what's
exactly.
next? Yeah.
Exactly. So we have him going up against Korean Zombie. Korean Zombie's been doing this for a long time too, a legend of the sport, right? It's a banger right off the bat, but you see Holloway that's really outstriking Korean Zombie.
Mhm.
He's just faster than Korean Zombie, getting to him a lot faster. And then that third round comes out, and you realize that Korean Zombie just said, "Fuck it, I'm
Yeah.
all in at this point, right? I'm
Damn,
not
good
going to win off
goosebumps, yeah.
points." Yeah, and so I'm just going to give it all. And he goes out there just swinging and banging, man, with reckless abandon, throwing shots.
And
Max
Max
Holloway
is there
catches
for
him,
it.
and he catches him as he's spinning. Remember? And
Mhm.
he spins and gets knocked down, and falls. Max with the walk off KO. The post fight interview is extremely emotional. The entire crowd, thousands and thousands of people singing along to Korean Zombie's walkout song.
God, the
Korean Zombie
zombies.
walking out of the octagon, man, looking
Right when the
around.
chorus hits.
Yes, and you hear the chorus
God.
blasting because everybody's singing along, and he's just smiling, looking at the crowd, like, dude, they're there for me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And for me, that was such a huge moment that it made the fight for me like the most memorable fight of the year for me.
Yeah, that's a good pick, dude. That's a solid pick. Damn, that gave me
Sorry,
goosebumps
dude, I just
watching the
went off
fight.
right now because, like, dude, just talking about it, I started getting goosebumps.
Yeah, same, dude. God, what a
Oh
moment. I was
man,
literally in bed crying watching that in the
dude,
morning.
it's
It was like
insane.
9 a.m.
It's
Oh
insane.
man. Yeah, that's gonna be tough to beat. For me, this is always fight of the year, men's fight of the year. Always, I go back and forth with like, you know, storylines with highly skilled fight or just fucking a banger through and through. The Just Bleed gods are appeased. Which one do I give it to? I almost gave it to the skill one, which was Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski 1.
Mm,
I thought that
yes,
was the highest level fight of the year by
such a good fight.
far. Very good fight. You know, Volk going up in weight against a boogeyman in Islam, and still holding his own in the grappling. Very cool transitions, trading rounds, insane reads getting picked up on by both fighters. Just so high level, but I couldn't give it to that one because we got that. We got a banger and we got emotional in Pantoja versus Moreno. I got to give it
Oof.
to that one because, you know, they have fought before. Pantoja has beaten him twice, right? Ultimate Fighter and then early on. And then was there a draw involved? I don't think so.
No, I
I
think that
think
was against
Pantoja has a
Figueiredo.
number. Yeah, yeah. Moreno. But Moreno's the champ. He just beat Figueiredo again, and
He
Pantoja
leveled
comes
up.
in. He leveled up since their first fight. It's their first fight
Yeah.
and their second fight. Like, what's going to happen here? And Pantoja has been trying to get a title shot for so long, but it's been held up because of Figgy versus Moreno. Fought 4 fucking times, and you're like, he finally gets his shot. It's a guy he's beaten before, but is he a different person? Yes. So what's going to happen? And you have Moreno coming out with that championship swagger and confidence, and it's fucking so cool to see with such a cool guy. And he comes out and they put on a fight for the ages. They're swanging and banging. There's insane back takes and submission threats and transition from Pantoja. And then there's just an ungodly chin on display from both fighters because they're just cracking each other. But it's a technical brawl, which is
Oh, what
fucking
a division.
amazing, right? And then we talk about with Hosa and Aldana, sometimes the sport strips you down to see how far a human being can go. When they're pushed to the brink, it's like their body thinks this is life or death. It might be a sport that we're watching, but the body doesn't know that. All the body knows is that you're losing blood, you have head trauma, you're exhausted, but your mind can push you through it if you're tough enough. And there's something about that brings something out of you. And at the end of the fight, Pantoja gets the belt and he takes a mic and he says, "Are you proud of me now, Dad?" And you're just like,
Oh,
"Oh
brutal,
my
dude.
fucking god,
So
dude!"
brutal.
After that fight, you see,
Oh,
and he's just he has no energy left when he says it. He's just blank stare. There's blood coming out of his hair. He's cut up. It was just a fight for the ages, and everything surrounded. We got a technical aspect. We got the brawl. We got to see someone go life and death in there. We had a backstory. It was just, I mean, for me, that's
oh,
fight of the
such a
year.
good pick. Such a good
Fucking
pick.
banger, dude.
Oh
Banger
man.
fight.
To
Flyweight. I
think
fucking
about all
love
these
flyweight.
different fights that we're talking
God.
about, man, and like I'll mention something, you're like, damn, that's a good pick. You mention something, I'm
Yeah.
like, God, that's a good pick. Like, how can you not watch MMA
Yeah.
year round? You know?
Yeah. Beautiful
Oh
stuff.
man.
And then honorable mentions, like I said, Makhachev versus Volkanovski obviously is up there. Gaethje Fiziev was fucking awesome. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Jeff Neal was incredible.
Oh, that's a good one.
There's been some good ones. Hooker versus Turner we talked about was a banger also. Nice comeback win for Hooker. Very good fights this year.
Yes.
Very good fights.
Very good.
And then
All right.
I think was Lineker versus Andrade 2, was that this year? I think it was early in the year. That was a
Yeah.
fucking awesome fight.
That was a good one too.
It's been a good year. It's been a real good year. Kazakhstan versus Soldic we talked about earlier with a crazy
2024
comeback.
better step its game up, dude.
Gotta have to bring it. Gotta have to bring it.
Yeah, man. All right. We can move on to the most sought after award, the Story of the Fight Fighter of the Year award. We're going to do both the female fighter of the year and male fighter of the year. Right.
I think we probably have the same picks for this one. I think for me, there's some debate for men's fighter of the year. I think there's no debate in women's. I think there is some debate in men's, but I think we're gonna have the same guy.
I went a little out on the limb here with my picks. Probably
Okay.
people you don't expect me to pick, but also like I'm sure if you hop on all these different websites, people do similar things that we do, you're going to see a lot of the same names and things like that. So I try to think outside of the box of fighters that I'm really excited about, that I thought had a phenomenal year. And you know what? We'll start off with my female fighter of the year. Give me Tatiana Suarez.
Ooh, okay,
Give me Tatiana
yes.
Suarez. Right?
That's an outside the box pick.
Curveball, yes. So look, man, Tatiana Suarez, this is somebody that's been absolutely on fire. Everybody had been looking towards Tatiana Suarez to be somebody that's dominating her division for a long time, right? This girl has been facing adversity forever, right? In 2012, she was an Olympic hopeful, ends up getting a neck injury. She goes in, does an MRI, come to find out it's not just a disc that's messed up. Girl, you got cancer. You're right. You got thyroid cancer.
God.
So she's battling that. She's been battling injuries throughout her entire career. She hadn't fought since 2019, and she only comes back in 2023 with 2 victories this year and continues ascending. This girl, after a 3-year layoff, wins 2 fights this year in easy fashion, right? And that's why I'm giving Tatiana Suarez the female fight of the year for me.
That's a good pick. It's definitely not.
I knew you weren't expecting it.
I was not expecting that. For me, I'm going to go with the obvious pick that I think everybody also picked on all the other ones that you mentioned that you didn't want to pick with. For me, it has to be Grasso.
Yeah.
Alexa Grasso to come in. Nobody even was talking about her at the start of the year. She gets a title shot over Shevchenko. She submits her in the first round. Everyone thinks maybe it's a fluke. And then they go life and death. She's got a 10-8 round against Shevchenko in the rematch. If they fight to a draw, she proves that she is at that level. For me, to take on Shevchenko twice and not lose once in a single year, that's a big deal. And that's Grasso. That's
Props to her, man. You also had Lupe Godinez, 3 fights this year, 3 victories as well, right? So props to her. Hey, a lot of Mexican female fighters we just called out.
Yeah,
That's
look at that.
yeah. Hey, look, yeah, I didn't really think about that until right now, but some good
Aldana?
things coming out of Mexico. Yeah, Diego
Big
Lopez.
bounce back win. Aldana with the
Well,
big
not
bounce
female,
back
but you
win
know what I
after.
mean.
Yeah, but Aldana after the Nunes fight, everyone was like, "What are we gonna do now?" And then she comes out and has that banger with Osa, your fight of the year.
Keith says Grasso, 100%. Yeah, and look again. I know that's gonna be the popular pick.
Yeah.
I just had to try to throw a curveball in there. You know what I mean?
I like
Can't
it.
throw them straight down the middle every time, bro.
Yeah. Usually I'm the MMA hipster on this show. Here you are. Juarez.
All right. Let's move on to the last of our awards. It's the male fighter of the year. Did you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, I'll go with the obvious pick. I think people, it's either one or two. I've seen people debate one or two. Is it Pineda for getting a belt at light heavyweight, or is it Sean Strickland for upsetting Izzy? And for me, I cannot give it to Pineda because the dude got flatlined this year, and I can't do it. And you could argue coming back from getting flatlined and going up a weight class and beating Jan Blachowicz and then beating Yidri is even better because he came back. He started the year off in the negative, and then he got all the way to a belt in another division. I can see that argument, but for me, it's got to be your boy Sean Strickland for getting not just the win over Izzy, but 3 wins this year. And then, I mean, the masterclass that he put on Izzy is just, there's no fluke. He caught him early. He dropped him early. If he finished him there, people would have said it was a fluke, but instead he didn't. And he continued that marching step with that Philly shell upper half and just outclassed him for the whole fight. And it was shocking to watch. And for me, that it's got to be fight of the year. Nobody mentioned Strickland as a potential threat to Izzy. There's just and not only did he didn't just do that, he also fought 2 other times. He got wins.
4 fights this year, right? He beat
just 3.
No, he beat Dricus du Plessis in the stands the other.
There you go.
So that'd be his 4th win this year, actually. So shout out to Sean Strickland. That's a good pick, man.
It's got to be him. He beats Imavov on short notice. He beats Abus Magomedov. He finishes him in the 2nd round, and then he just goes on that masterclass with Adesanya. And you're just, I mean, come on. I can't. You can't give it to anybody else. Who's yours though? I'm assuming yours is somebody else.
I'm giving it to somebody else. So, and you're sitting here thinking like, all right, explain why you picked Pineda, right? Poatan was not my pick either.
Oh,
so again, I'm thinking outside the box, and I went with Tom Aspinall for fight.
That's a good one too.
Okay, so Tom Aspinall fights Curtis Blades, 2022 July. 15 seconds in, tears his knee. Right?
Yeah,
tears his knee.
Not good at heavyweight.
Not good.
Yeah.
Exactly. A year later, right? He makes his return against Marcin Tybura, stops him, finishes him, and then on 2 weeks' notice, gets called to fight Pavlovich.
Crazy. Yeah.
Right. And takes him out in fantastic fashion, man.
Mm-hmm.
So and now that I think about it, you know what? I might have messed up because looking at my picks, maybe I could have done. I probably could have done comeback fighters of the year.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So maybe your picks would be more like fight of the year. Mine would be comeback fight of the year. But you know what? We're too far into the episode already where your boy ain't going to change it. I'm going Tommy Aspinall.
Tommy Aspinall. No, it's a good one. It's a good one. I mean, he's the interim. I think that he is the rightful champ right now. He's the real champ in my opinion. Yeah. John Jones has the belt, but Aspinall, to take out Pavlovich, the guy that John's definitely not going to fight. John's probably not going to fight Aspinall. That's got to be a big one. And that's never changed, Ramiro. That's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
All right.
nobody does that to Pavlovich. Pavlovich is
Oh,
the
dude, it
murderer.
was a
He's the Terminator.
beautiful display, man, of skill, right? And
Yeah.
again, anybody can go back and watch the first episode that we did when he had fought, right, on his
Mhm.
debut, and we said, hey, it's
We
not
were
a matter of
very high on
if,
him.
it's when. The fact that this guy moves like a middleweight and he's a solid heavyweight, dude.
Yeah.
His ground game, his striking looks so crisp. He seems like the total package. My heart of hearts believe that he is the biggest threat to John Jones to take out his streak. I mean, I know he
Mhm.
has a loss on his record, but come on, let's be real here. I mean,
Let's be real.
12-6 elbows, whatever, dude. But I
only we had
really think that
Francis.
Tom Aspinall can take him out.
If only we had the real champ Francis in the UFC still. Aspinall versus Francis. God damn it.
Scary. That's
Yeah.
scary.
Whoa, what is Toasty trying
Andrew
to say here?
Toasty puts a couple syringes and says Pavlovich. I think he's saying that he got the flu shot and the COVID shot recently. So I didn't know
that's
that
why he
about him.
lost.
He's vaccinated. All right. Good.
Double
Good to know. Double vaxxed. All right.
Yeah.
That was it for the award show.
That's what they call Aspinall's 1-2. You know what I mean? That's it.
The double
2023 award show.
I love it. I love it. All right.
Yeah.
So, do we have any cheers or anything like that, Rich? We just finished up the award show. Like, do we have a crowd chanting again or anything?
Shout out to everybody.
Hey, there it is.
Fights in 2023. There were some fucking awesome ones. Toasty had his pro debut.
Oh, shout out Toasty.
Had his PFL debut. Just one had their first US event. A very good year. Very good year for combat sports. Francis had the Fury fight. I mean, come on. It was just crazy.
It was a big year. It was a
Yeah.
big year. More and more fans are being drawn into MMA. And you know what?
USADA's dead?
And we're here for them. You know?
Yeah. We take them in.
Come on. Yeah.
Yeah.
With open arms. All right.
Open arms.
Hey, so
With arms wide open.
up next,
Yeah.
I think we have she's gonna go off the rails real quick.
It's about to go off the rails.
Yeah. We had the recap.
Yeah, so last year, we do it every year. At the
Yeah.
beginning of the year, next week was when we'll do it for 2024. We predict who is going to be holding the belts for each division by the end of the year, by the year's close. So who's finishing the year with the belts? Whoever picks the most between me and Ramiro gets the Story of the Fight belt.
I held it the
Story of
first
Fight belt.
year. It had to be shipped out to Will the next
Look at
year.
that.
So
And then we're like, we can make these mini belts. So let's have the fans make their predictions also, and we'll tally those up. And whoever has the most picks out of the fans will get a mini belt. You might say, but if the fans beat you, do they get the big belt? No, they don't. They don't. But they do get a mini belt.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. It's separate leagues.
And again, I haven't gone back and rewatched, so a lot of this is going to be new to me again.
I made the slideshow for the picks, but I have not counted who got what. I do not know who won.
Okay.
But it's going to be interesting. So we'll go through each division. We'll find out who picked what my picks were, what Ramiro's picks are. Rich is going to keep the scoreboard going in the background, and then we'll also be showing all of the fan votes for each division as we go along too, keeping a tally for the fans, and then by the end we'll know which one gets the big belt and which fan gets the mini belt. So let's do it.
All right. Which one?
So first off, we're gonna start with women's strawweight.
Okay.
Women's strawweight.
Ooh.
We have that slideshow, Rich.
Who did I pick? Oh, okay.
Both pick Jean.
By the way, hey, I really like the picture. The way that you set this up.
I last
really
year we
good.
had just like it was like a gray picture with like the names and like our pictures, and I'm like, you know what, dude, let's shake it up. Let's get the champs.
No,
on
this is
there, and
good.
then
I like this.
Yeah.
Good job. Good
Yeah.
job, man. This is awesome.
So shout out to Zhang Wei Li. She started the year with the belt, I think, and got it and defended it against Lemos, I believe. And then I don't think we've seen her since, right? Is that what she's done?
I think so.
But yeah, good job. Good job, Zhang Wei Li.
All right. So we that's 1 point for each of us.
That's 1 point for each of us.
Nice.
What about the fans, Rich? What do the fans pick? All right, we got
Oh.
Brian, Coleslaw, George, HLB Comer, Keith, and Regen all picked Zhang Wei Li. So they're
Nice.
at 1. Toasty went with the Homer pick for Brianna. Katie went Thug Rose, and Christopher went Lemos.
Ooh,
Solid picks.
Chris, super close with the Lemos.
Yeah, super close.
I like it. All right.
Toasty says Rich deserves the belt in all honesty. We
need to get him to watch a fight first.
Yeah, we need Rich's predictions.
Yeah,
so
we do.
everybody who picked Zhang Wei Li has got a point. Rich, I can see you on the background. Let me know when you have, if you want to shoot a thumbs up when you got the tally up for everybody. But we got a few people at one. We got Katie, Tosi, and Christopher.
Ooh,
yet to get
HOB
on the
Comer
board.
saying right on time for my belt.
Right on time for. Oh, look at the confidence for
Oh,
HOB
yeah.
Comer. And he's got one. He's on the
one
board.
for one right now.
He's 1 for 1.
He's one for let's see how it goes the rest of the way. Hey, by the way, HOB Comer, thanks for joining us, man. We had just mentioned too that we didn't go back and tally this before, so this is also a surprise to me and Will to see who won. So,
oh, look at that! Rich has got the board up on the ticker. Correct predictions. Everybody who has ones on there. Very cool, Rich. Look at that.
HOB Comer says, "Nah, all the confidence is fake." You had us fooled.
Yeah.
All right. Which one are we doing next, Will?
Women's flyweight is the next one. I think probably most people. I don't know if anybody got this one actually. I don't remember. Grasso, and we both picked Shevchenko.
Ooh, silly us.
Look at us, man. Went the easy route and picked Shevchenko. So we both missed.
We did.
What about the fans? Did anybody get Grasso? No.
Ooh, no. Somebody had said Suarez. Hey, George, I like that pick.
HOB Comer went Blanchfield. Blanchfield got that number one contender fight against Tyler Santos, right?
Yeah.
And now she's getting another number one contender fight against Firo. So I don't really know.
This is making me excited for next week already for our picks for 2024. You know what I mean?
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun.
I like
All right,
it.
so everybody's still at one. We can move on to, what is it, women's bantamweight, which is vacant, I believe. Did anybody pick vacant? I went Shevchenko, you went Pena.
Yeah.
But there's no champion.
There might not be a division soon. We'll see.
Yeah.
There might not be a division.
Did anybody pick vacant? Did anybody pick Nunes retiring and nobody having the belt?
Oh, dude, if they did.
No.
Nunes, Shevchenko, Nunes, Shevchenko, Nunes, Aldana, Nunes. No.
Didn't happen. Well. That'd be a tough one to predict. That would be very impressive.
Does that mean everybody's still tied at one?
Everybody's still tied at one.
Thank you, Zhang Wei Li.
Thank you.
At least putting us on the board. What's next?
Yeah. Next we got women's featherweight, which did close down. Did we pick that it would be closed?
Let's see. Oof.
No, we both picked Nunes, which honestly it's a good pick. We thought that we thought that they were just going to keep it open so that Nunes could keep the double champ status, and then instead Nunes retired. And so they're like, never mind. We'll close that down. Yeah. Did anybody pick closed? George and Regen. Both picked closed.
Wow.
So I feel like we give him a point for that, huh?
That's 100%.
Yeah.
We have to. Okay, so look, George 2, Regen 2 now.
Everybody else picked Nunes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a very good prediction. I like it.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. So now we move on to the men's divisions. We got a hint from Regen earlier on a pick that I don't think was on the board, but we'll find out. We got men's flyweight. We got Pantoja as the champ. Did we pick Pantoja?
No, I know I didn't. Yeah, I picked.
We both picked Moreno.
Moreno, dude.
Damn.
Dude, that belt is growing on me so much.
It's good. It's good. Yeah. I hated it at first, but I've come around. Did anybody pick Pantoja from the fans?
Moreno, Cop, Moreno, Figgy, Moreno. No Pantoja up in there.
No Pantoja. Regen said, my mom is here. She's having PC issues, so I'm listening.
No worries, bro. No worries. He says, I don't remember half these picks. Hey, you're on the same boat as us. We don't know.
For sure.
We don't remember half these picks either.
So we're still at 1. George and Regen are still at 2, so they are leading the pack right now.
Nice.
We can move on to men's bantamweight with O'Malley as the champ. We both picked Cejudo. We both thought Cejudo was going to come in and beat Aljo, and then O'Malley would get the next title shot, and with Cejudo's wrestling, he would come out on top, obviously. But that did not happen. Aljo beats Cejudo. O'Malley knocks out Aljo. So me and you are still at 1. Did anybody pick O'Malley?
Cejudo just ruined this for us.
Yeah. Coleslaw and Katie both picked O'Malley.
I like it.
So I think was Coleslaw on the board already? I think that's Katie's first point.
Yeah.
So she joins the single digit rankings.
Okay.
So far.
Okay.
Ramiro
Coleslaw
at
at
1.
2.
I'm at 1. Brian at 1. Coleslaw at 2. George at 2. HLB Comer at 1. Keith at 1. Regen at 2. Katie at 1.
I
Move
like
along. We got
right.
men's featherweight. Did we pick a Volk? Goddamn right.
Hey!
And look how happy he is to see us pick him.
Yeah, look, he's looking up at our picks on
Yeah.
this picture. I like it.
Yeah.
Good job on this
So that brings us to 2. We have tied up everybody, but are the other people
Everybody
at
else
2? Did they pick Volk
too. Let's see.
Toasty says, "Thank God I know how to fight because I can't predict shit." Toasty did not predict this one either. He went Evloev. Katie went Yair, who was getting the title shot at the beginning of the year. Brian Coleslaw, George HLB Comer, Keith Regen, and Christopher all went Volk. So let's tally those ones up.
Hey, I just realized that the background has the Story of the Fight belt there.
I spent all of 5 minutes on these graphics, man, and I went.
And you did
when I
awesome.
tell you, and I used every second of those 5 minutes.
Oh man,
got the coveted belt, man. You got to know what's It's like when one has the fights, and then they have like the belt on display right outside the cage,
right on the side. Yeah, you got to do the same here, huh?
Yeah,
that's fair.
Here we go.
All right, what's next?
Next, I think Rich is still tallying. Let's see what the where we're at. I think George might be in the lead. Regen and George and Coleslaw all at 3. Me and you were at 2. Everybody else at 1. Keith's at 2. HLB Comer's at 2. We could go ahead and move on to
what happens if we have a tie.
I don't know, and I don't know.
We didn't think about that.
We did not. Maybe we'll have to do something with the tiebreaker.
Yeah, we'll do something with tiebreaker.
Yeah. Let's see. So men's lightweight. Did we pick Islam Makhachev? HLB Comer says this is a game show. I like it. We both went Islam Makhachev.
All right. Another one on the board for us, huh?
Another one on the board. We're at 3. Look at that. What about the fans? Did everybody else pick Makhachev as well?
He is a goofy
little dude, huh? Comer says power slap round when it comes to attack. Everybody picked Islam.
Oh, no.
So everybody goes up a point.
All right.
It's tough, man. Regen's at 4. I think Coleslaw is also at 4. That's pretty fucking
George
good.
Is at 4.
George is at 4.
Everybody
Coleslaw,
else
Regen
jumps up to 3. Katie jumps up to 2, right?
Yeah, looks like
Christopher jumps up to 2. All right.
Christopher gets on the board, I think, right? Or was he already?
Oh, is that what it is?
No, he was already at 1. Maybe. I don't know.
Toasty gets on the board.
Toasty on the board with
Let's go.
All right. So we can move on to what is it? Welterweight.
You know, Coleslaw was gonna pick his boy Islam.
Yeah, met him in Ross all those years back before he was even in the UFC.
I like it. All right.
So welterweight. Who do we pick? Ooh. We picked Usman. We thought Usman was going to win the rematch against Leon and beat anybody else who approached him. Instead, he lost to Leon, and then he continued to lose.
Leon he lost to Hamzat.
Lost to Hamzat, whereas Leon defended the belt against him and went on to beat Colby at the end of the year. So he defended twice. So good job, Leon. Did anybody pick Leon?
Man, you know how I feel about people who wear sunglasses indoors like that, Will.
I respect it sometimes.
Katie and Regen.
Katie and Regen both kept with Leon. Brian, Coleslaw, George, and Christopher all went Hamzat Humayev. We got Keith went Usman with us. HLB Comer and Toasty both went Shavkat. Shavkat is close. Shavkat's very close. Oh, man. So Katie gets a point.
Regen at 5.
Regen gets a point. Damn, Regen, dude. Killing
him, huh? What a year.
Hope he's still listening. Keith says, why am I still at 2?
Oh, man.
Classic. All right, so that was welterweight. Let's go up to middleweight. Did anybody pick Sean Strickland?
Everybody picked Sean Strickland. Look at it. Such a good picture too.
You went Hamzat. I went Izzy. Izzy at the start of the year, I thought he was going to beat Pereira in a rematch, and then I was like, he beats everybody else, and I was so close because I got the first half. I picked the first fight right, and then he lost it immediately to Sean Strickland. Keith says he has 3 right.
Yeah, it's showing 3.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Did anybody pick Strickland? No.
Ooh,
Brian went Bobby Knuckles. Toasty went Delidze.
Hey, I like that Delidze pick.
Yeah. Coleslaw went. That might be inevitable. Delidze might be one of those guys that it's coming. It seems like he's struggling to get a fight right now. Coleslaw went Pereira. George went Izzy. Katie went Izzy. HW Comer went Bobby Knuckles. Keith, Regen, both went Pereira. And Christopher went Hamzat. Toasty says, where did Delidze go? Yeah. I don't know. He was supposed to fight somebody, right? It was like finally he's getting a big shot, and then it fell through or something. I don't remember. But yeah, nobody got Strickland. That would have been impressive. So we can move on to light heavyweight. Did anybody pick Pereira to move up and get the belt at light heavyweight? At the beginning of the year, he was scheduled to fight Izzy. No, we were very close.
We were so close.
Yeah,
we were
very
so close.
We both went Yizri. Pereira looks disappointed in our pick. HB Comer says, how did I pick Bobby? Look, Bobby was 1 fight away from a title shot, and he got starched by Drickus. So nobody saw that coming. So it's not a bad pick, Bobby Knuckles.
By the way, Roman Delidze confirmed upcoming bout against Nasruddin Imavov, February 3rd.
Good fight. Good fight.
Yeah.
Did anybody pick Pereira out of the fans, Rich?
Oof.
No. Brian, Coleslaw, George all picked Yidri. Toasty, Katie both picked Jamal Hill, which was a good pick because this was before the Glover Hill fight that happened this year. So he got the belt and then tore his Achilles. So that's a good pick. HB Comer, Regen, and Christopher all went Ankalaev, who also fought for a vacant belt or an interim belt at least. And then there was the draw, and it was like a weird thing. Keith,
I don't think the UFC is ever going to give him another title shot.
Yeah, Toasty.
They're like, you know what? Nah.
Toasty with the homer pick says, I mean, Hill kind of counts. But he doesn't have the belt. So it's maybe that'll be the tiebreaker. If anybody ties and we go back to this one, if anybody had Hill, maybe that'll be the tiebreaker.
Maybe.
But we can move on to the last one, heavyweight. What's the tally, Rich? When we put the tally up, is this winnable for anybody right now? What are we at, me and you?
I think Regen is probably leading the way right now.
I will not put the tally up because I've already put the final result. So we'll see.
Let's see.
Ooh,
all right,
also,
heavyweight.
Special appearance from Rich.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, let's go. Heavyweight. Who picked John Jones? Ramiro goes John Jones.
Go.
Were we tied going into this? We might have been tied.
Yeah, we were tied. Let's go. Let's go.
I went Gone. Instead, John, your pick steamrolled my pick.
Yes.
Oh man. Aspinall gets a half point if anybody picked Aspinall.
Yeah, get like faded into the background there.
He's an interim belt, so if anybody picked him, they get half a point. What did the fans do? Ramiro takes it. Wow, look at that. Did anybody pick John Jones or Aspinall? Coleslaw, George, HB Comer, Keith, and Regen all picked Jones. Brian and Katie went Cyril Gahn. Same with Christopher. And Toshi went Curtis Blades. Toshi says Will's last chance is gone. Is Cyril Gahn. So what do we got? We got classic. Ramiro at 4, me at 3. Let's see. Brian was at 3. Coleslaw at 5. Good job, Coleslaw. George at 5. HB Comer at 4. Keith at 4. Regen at 6. Katie at 3. Christopher at 2. Toasty at 1. So Regen with 6.
Yeah.
Regen with 6. That's pretty fucking.
And then did Rich say he had like something to put up there that would show the final tallies?
No. Just the ticker.
Okay.
Toasty says a very respectable one. It is. It's a very
very nice. Man, that was fun. So that means your boy here gets the big SOF belt back. It's coming back home to Texas. Send it my way. And then Regen shoot us a message, DM us on the Story of the Fight Instagram with your address. We'll shoot the mini belt out your way. We just ask that once you get it in, man, take a picture with it, man. Send it our way, and that way we can post it. We could post it.
Yeah, because the mini belts are cool, man. They're cool.
Heck yeah.
But yeah, this was super fun. So next week we'll do the same thing. We'll do a predictions for who is going to end 2024 with the belt. Yeah, so if anybody HB Comer says the champ has a name, Regent says no way. Look at that with the medal on the ticker.
Oh man.
Cool. But yeah, so next week on Sunday we will do this again. Make our predictions. So make sure
second place medal.
If you're not first, you're last in this situation. It's one of those Talladega Nights moments. But yeah, so we'll go ahead and do this next year. Next week, I guess that is next year. So make sure we get all you guys' picks.
Will this next year, would it be better if they email us their picks to storyofthefight@gmail.com?
No, not necessarily.
No?
If you put in the comments of next week's live stream, that's the best way for sure. If it's all in one place, all in the comments of that live stream, that's the big one. What is the first title fight of the year? It's not even the first event. I think it is. It is UFC 297. That is January 20th. Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Jesus Christ. Sean Strickland versus Duplessis. So we will need everybody's picks before Raquel Pennington and Mayra Bueno Silva make their walkout, which is January 20th. What a title fight, huh? Raquel Pennington versus Mayra Bueno Silva. Oh, what are we doing?
What is going on here?
Bantamweight, man.
But
awesome.
Poliana Viana is on the same card, bro.
That's your girl.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Muito bella, dude. Muito bella. All right. Hey, what a fun episode.
Yeah.
What a fun episode.
Regent says, I'll definitely do that. Thanks for the amazing year of coverage, guys. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And Regent's channel just taken off, huh? Jeez Louise.
It is. It's absolutely blowing up.
HB Comer's worst title fight ever. It's pretty bad, dude.
Well, I wonder how
Robertson is awesome, dude. Robertson versus
how many of our listeners will have Raquel Pennington as their pick to finish the year as a bantamweight champion. We'll see. But hey,
so Ganskow really started watching this year after we started doing the predictions. So Ganskow, you better be there next week making the picks. Keith says I won't have Strickland in my face.
Don't start sharing, dude. Don't start sharing, all right? Because we want to make sure everybody puts in their picks, no influence, and that way next year when we crown the next champ, it's all without influence, right? But hey, shout out Keith, Ganskow, HOB Comer, Regen. Man, I already gave a shout out to Toasty when we first started. Toasty, thank you so much for covering the last couple of weeks, my man. Big shout out to you.
Shout out Christopher, George, Coleslaw, Brian, everybody who made picks. Because if you guys don't make picks, we can't. This isn't nearly as fun. Yeah, shout out Ken. If you guys don't make the picks, we can't really do these episodes. I mean, we can, but it's way
not as fun
if it's just our two picks and we just we pick three out of fucking all
please. Ganskow, Keith, HOB Comer, Regen, everybody, please try to convince Rich to submit picks this year, because every year we tell Rich, hey, submit your picks, and his answer is always that he doesn't want to show us up. So I think we just need some of our listeners to just push him a little bit more just so he can submit some picks as well, right? Yeah. Can you imagine Rich just coming out and he just comes out like 10 for 10 or something? Just, that would be amazing.
We have to end the show, dude.
Yeah.
We can't top that.
Do you have anything else, Will?
No. Join us next week. We'll be making our predictions. It's very fun to make the predictions at the beginning of the year because it is way more fun to look back at how bad the picks are at the end of the year. So it'll be a fun one.
Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. Hey, in case you were wondering how it is that we're able to also make these episodes happen in the background, of course, it's produced by none other than Mr. Richard Bustos. There it is, all right. Thanks, everybody, for listening to an entire year of Story of the Fight and this special episode this week. Love you all. Thank you.